hazardous tsunami came.
When you are staying in the evacuation center all the time, people get on each other's nerves. We've all been together for a month now. It's almost like being a club. I hope we get temporary housing soon.
These fishing ports, quite remote, were already in decline even before the earthquake and tsunami. Young people were leaving, finding better opportunities elsewhere. It's a trend that disaster can only accelerate. Left behind will be the elderly, towards the end of their lives, and unable to pick up and start again somewhere else.
Roland Burke reporting there. Well, the Japanese government has promised to rebuild homes, livelihoods, entire communities, but the cost will be huge. Most estimates put the final bill above $300 billion, and Japan already one of the most heavily indebted countries anywhere in the world. My colleague Rachel Harvey has been speaking to the man in charge with managing Japan's disaster response, the Chief Cabinet Secretary Yukio Adano. Will Japan be able to fund the recovery?
We will never abandon our plan for reconstruction on the excuse of a lack of funding. So we will definitely make sure we have the sources of funding necessary for the reconstruction work. We have rediscovered a spirit of bonding and mutual support. Japan has managed to successfully resurrect itself from the aftermath of World War II. And if we can build on the lessons from this devastating earthquake, we believe that we can go beyond reconstructing our country and seriously address the challenges that we and the world face in the 21st century.
This is the biggest disaster that Japan has faced for a generation, but your government was accused before March the 11th of being unpopular and weak. So how will you now provide the leadership necessary to pull the country through this?
The tsunami and earthquake caused major damage. Many perished and still many are unaccounted for. But on the other hand, this experience has allowed the Japanese once again to embrace our very important culture. Concerning the nuclear power station accident, it is to be greatly regretted that this damage has been incurred after the tsunami hit the power station and the power supply was lost. And there were no sufficient systems established in advance of this natural disaster to cope with such unprecedented events. But with the help of many people, we have been able to bring the situation to a point where it is, relatively speaking, stable. However, we do have to make further efforts to bring it fully under control. So the situation, I have to admit, is still somewhat bleak, and it is very difficult. However, we will have to muster all possible knowledge and wisdom to bring this situation under control.
You mentioned Fukushima, and the nuclear agency has acknowledged that it wasn't sufficiently prepared for what has happened. But the Japanese people train for earthquakes and tsunamis. You hold regular drills. So why was the nuclear industry not better prepared?
In reference to the Fukushima power station, they were fully prepared for emergency situations based on the natural disaster data for the past 100 years or so. Of course, once we got everything under control, experts need to work out what has happened and do some soul searching. But people have said that a disaster on this scale is something that would only occur once every 500 to 1,000 years.
So given all that you're saying, how can you convince the Japanese people the nuclear power is safe?
The nuclear power stations that are currently in operation have been instructed to upgrade their emergency response countermeasures for possible tsunamis in the future. For example, to deploy backup generators. Once the Fukushima Daiichi power station is brought under stable control, then we need to carry out thorough and full investigations of what has happened. And of course, we need to have a nationwide dialogue.
Well, we have a special page on the BBC website on the ongoing situation in Japan. There you'll find all the latest news and analysis, as well as interactive maps and reports from our correspondents.